Jitters over Donald Trump is the worry that having Trump at the top of the ticket will hurt the party's chances of keeping control of the House and the Senate. My next guest, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, is up for re-election in November and does face a tough fight to hold on to his seat in a swing state that has gone blue more often than not. Senator Johnson, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Morning, Chuck. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Let me ask you straight up. Are you going to say who you're voting for on Tuesday? Are you going to endorse before Tuesday?
No, I have not endorsed. I've certainly stated my intention to support whoever the Republican nominee is. I've got faith in Wisconsin primary voters as well as American or Republican primary voters on a national level. So that's my intention.
It's interesting you put it that way. Do you plan on supporting the candidate who wins the primary on Tuesday in Wisconsin? Do you think that's the most appropriate action?
Well, again, what I will do is I will support whoever the delegates in the National Convention actually chooses for a nominee. And we've got 3.5 months to go here before that's actually determined. There's 3.5 months is a lifetime in politics, so nobody can predict exactly how this is going to turn out.
You know, it's been surprising to hear from you as compared to some of your other fellow Republican senators who are running for re-election in swing states. You're one of the few that says publicly that you think Donald Trump helps you in your re-election, that he doesn't hurt you. Why?
But no, I think what I've been talking about is, from my standpoint, I'm a business person. I'm a completely outsider. And that certainly is what has resonated about his campaign in many respects. But, from my standpoint, I think what this campaign ought to be about is, growth. How do you grow our economy? It's the #1 component for a solution. I think what candidates are finding out here in Wisconsin is we have some very discerning primary voters here on the Republican side. And like Charles mentioned, a lot has to do with our exceptional talk radio hosts across the state. And I think some of the candidates found out exactly how exceptional they really are in terms of asking tough questions. And that's really what an election is all about. That's what a primary is about, is getting out the truth.
All right, Senator, by saying what you said, you're all but implying you're not for Trump. You're all but implying, by essentially praising how great these conservative radio can be. How do we not interpret that as an anti-Trump sentiment coming from you?
Because I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm not endorsing somebody. That obviously speaks for itself. The last primary, I did endorse Mitt Romney, and I'll tell you why I endorsed Mitt Romney is when I met with him beforehand, he said, Ron, I expect to be a one-term president because I'm going to fix these problems. And then when he picked Paul Ryan as running mates, it just confirmed that my choice was correct. So obviously I don't have a comfort level. Let's face it, no two people agree on everything. I'll tell you what, though, is certain is I will never vote for Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders or whoever the Democrat nominee may be. So, again, I'm looking, and I've got to put my faith and trust in Republican primary voters, and I intend to support the Republican nominee, whoever that person may or may not be.
Let me ask this. What advice would you give Donald Trump to improve his chances in Wisconsin? Right now we've got polling that shows he trails Hillary Clinton by 10 points. Ted Cruz and Hillary Clinton are tied in Wisconsin, and John Kasich actually leads her. But if Trump's the nominee, what advice would you give Donald Trump to improve his standing in Wisconsin?
It's the same advice I'd give anybody in a primary or a general election. Show your vision for America, for Wisconsin, and certainly in a Republican primary, show the primary voters how you intend to take that vision to defeat the Democratic nominee. Let's face it. We're going to be facing either a socialist, and I think we should all remember that socialism hasn't worked. Not in the Soviet Union, not in Venezuela, certainly not in what should be the island paradise of Cuba. And Hillary Clinton has so much baggage, she's going to be a very flawed candidate if she ends up being selected.
All right, final question. Merrick Garland, the president's choice for the Supreme Court vacancy. You said something interesting. You implied that if this were a Republican president filling a conservative seat, this would go through without a problem. I guess my question to you is, if Merrick Garland were replacing a liberal seat on the court, would you be more inclined to see this nomination and confirmation process go forward?
No, I think what Vice President Biden said in 1992 is pretty accurate. In such a politicized atmosphere with just literally 8 months before an election, let the American people have a voice in choosing the direction of the Supreme Court.
So under any circumstance,
the country.
You don't think Supreme Court nomination should happen in a final year of a presidency, in a presidential election year?
I think it's pretty problematic, and particularly with Judge Garland in Wisconsin here. He appears to be pretty hostile to a Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, which would not be popular in Wisconsin. So I'm doing my job in protecting the Second Amendment rights of Wisconsinites by just withholding my consent.
All right. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican from Wisconsin, up for re-election. Thanks for coming on the show, sir.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.